Hi everyone, and welcome back to Herzography. In this video, I mentioned quite a while ago that I was going to come out with a new video talking about a number of different heads as I've been shooting them out in the field and what I like and don't like. So that's what we're going to go over today, the four main types of heads for your tripod and what I have found to be pros and cons of each, depending upon what type of photography you're shooting. So the first head that I have here is a fluid head, and the fluid head is really wonderful for videographers. It does have that really nice fluid motion that pulls your camera back up, and great head for video and perhaps some other applications. So let me show you what I mean. A video head is going to have its clamp, and this one is an Arca-Swiss compatible clamp, and it is orientated vertically because video cameras have their clamp on the bottom of their camera and it is vertical. So it is going to set in here very easily. But if you're using a DSLR, you can see that, with the clamp that I have on the bottom of my camera, this is not going to fit on here. So there are a couple of options. There are different tops that you can get to modify the top of your tripod head so that it will be in the other orientation, or with an Allen wrench you can unscrew it. To do that, I've just found that to be a little bit much work to decide, am I going to be using this clamp or am I going to be using a telephoto lens where this would work out perfect, and going back and forth. So the option that I found to use with a head like this, and let me just put this aside for now. Okay, that's on there. Would be something like this. This is a little attachment that's used for taking panos, but the nice thing about this particular attachment, and let me get it on here for you, is that, there we go, is that this attachment allows you to turn the clamp. So I can keep the head in one position, but now turn the clamp to whichever orientation I'm going to be shooting on, meaning whichever camera head or camera clamp I'm going to be using. So instead of it being in this orientation, now I can turn it so that it's in the right orientation for shooting with the fluid head. And you can see now it's going to work very nicely. The limits with using a fluid head is that you're only going to have this one orientation of going back and forth, and of course side to side. So you can go back and forth, side to side. So you do have a fair amount of movement, and you don't have to worry. Once again, it's probably the only head that you don't have to worry about any kind of camera flop. Yes, you can adjust tension. I understand that. Please leave me comments below. But, if your tension isn't set right on some of the other heads, you're going to have camera flop. Whereas you'll never have that with a fluid head. It is just going to be lots of motion, and, then if I want to change my orientation, I can unscrew this and then turn it and then put on my long lens that is oriented the other way. So I find that this is and can be a very useful head depending upon what I'm going out and shooting. And the reason why I say that is because if I get this all set up and I've decided that I'm going to do a panorama, so I go through all of the leveling, because all of my tripods here, you can see they all have a leveling base. And so I get this all nice and level, knowing that now I can loosen that up, tighten that up, or regardless, and I'm able to do a nice pano as long as my head is in the level position. And this particular panning clamp has little click stops. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's got nice little click stops on it, so that way it'll show me, it'll indent for each exposure. I really like having that on here. That being said, now you come into the issue of, well, I want to do a multi-row pano. I want to be able to tilt it down like so and do another row of panos. So that might work on a head like this. I haven't tested it yet. You know, if you've tested a multi-row pano using a fluid head, I'd love to hear from you. I have not done that yet, but all in all, a fluid head can be a very good choice. And let me show you when you're putting on a long lens why that is. So let me take this off and get that all locked in. Good. Okay, now let me just grab another lens. Okay, so I've grabbed this lens. This is a 200 to 400 lens, and I'm not going to mount it on the camera right now. I just wanted to show you that, you know, these long lenses have, you know, the collar on them, and of course the collar only goes in one direction. For the most part, there is a clamp that I used to use years ago that was square, and it allowed me to put the lens on the head regardless of what orientation the head was in, but that plate is no longer made, so I'm not even going to put it in the show notes. It was a square plate that was made by Really Right Stuff, but they are not manufacturing that plate anymore. I don't know if anyone else is. So if I was going to mount this lens, as you saw, the camera was right on here. I would need to change this orientation and turn that so it would be like so. So now it is in the same orientation as the head. So now I would be able to put this or any telephoto lens on here and, you know, have full range of now being able to go ahead and shoot by using this head. So this particular clamp, this pano clamp that I have on here, would really need to stay on. This would need to stay on this fluid head for me to use the fluid head all the time. So that way I wouldn't have to worry about what orientation the plate was on. There are, as I mentioned before, there are some modifications that you can get depending upon the fluid head and the top plate, and there's a number of different sites that show what you can do with it. The only issue that I've had with that is that if I decided that I want to use a different fluid head, well, the way I have mine set up right now, all I have to do is take my panning clamp off and I can use another fluid head. If I was to change the fluid head to something else, or wanted to try somebody else's, or I forgot mine, like all I'd have to do is just bring this one little panning clamp. You know, when you go to the modification, it could cost upwards of $150, $200 from what I recall. And I'm just, you know, that on top of the head, it's like, well, I'm not sure if it's really worth it. So that's where you'd have to decide if you really enjoy the fluid head and you like the fluid motion. There's many fluid heads out there, lots of reviews on them. You know, I'll put which one I'm using. It was very reasonably priced. I think it was around $250 or so. I'm not positive. This one is from Leofoto. It is a fairly basic fluid head. It does have an arm that comes on here that can go on either side, which I don't use. The reason why I chose this one is because it has a standard Arca clamp, and I was not going to buy a fluid head that had some other either Manfrotto or proprietary clamp on it, because then you have to go through buying another piece to then convert it from whatever that is, let's say Manfrotto, to Arca-Swiss. So you might as well try to get as close as you want to get to begin with. And having, as you can see, this is a very nice, easy clamp mechanism to take this piece on and off, and then it's in there very securely. So I've had a lot of enjoyment out of this fluid head. I'm still going to continue to use it, but let's move on to another one. Now let's take a look at a ball head. I've shown you this one before. You can see this on another one of my videos, but I wanted to show it in the same area and comparing it. This is a spectacular ball head from ProMediaGear. Once again, the links will be in the show notes. You know, it does have, of course, a great, nice big knob here on the bottom for turning the bottom pano clamp. You know, I can level this tripod up with the leveling base. Now, when using a ball head, the ball head gives you probably the most flexibility out of any of the heads. You just have to be, like, I would always put my hand here on the side of the camera like this, so that way when I loosen it, it's not just going to flop right down. You have to be very careful. This head doesn't, has a one grip that is both tension as well as locking. So you can see that I've got it just about set. Now it's still going to fall. Just about set there where it's not going to fall. So yeah, I could use it like this, but if I want to lock it, I'd have to turn it a little bit more to now lock it into place. And then if I go to unlock it, now I have to try to figure out where that exact tension was that I had before. There are other heads that have a separate tension control knob. I've used those in the past. I kind of like having a separate tension control, so that way when you unlock it, you're not going to unlock it too much. Unlocking will not affect the tension. On this one, it affects the tension. So you just have to be very careful with it. On the other hand, the advantage of this is you can see I have just full control of, let me make sure that's locked into place. Okay. So I have full control of this being able to shoot in any position at all. So with all of that flexibility, I would really enjoy this, that if I was to go out to the botanical gardens or something like that, this would be a wonderful head for me to use, because it would give me that option to just be able to put it in any weird position that I wanted to when I'm shooting flowers, and be able to then just lock it right in place. It's very solid and sturdy, and I wouldn't worry about any issues at all. The head does weigh a little bit of weight. Once again, I'll show that below. I'm not exactly sure the amount of weight, so it's a little bit more to carry. I'm not sure if this is a head that I would use on a monopod, just on a good sturdy tripod. So really solid head from ProMediaGear. I enjoy it a lot. When it comes to doing landscape photography for me, yes, I can get the top where it is, the top, meaning the top plate, where it is perfectly level, lock it into place, which would mean then I could do a pano. And the pano you'd have to unlock from here, not from here. So this would give you the leveling of being able to do a single row pano, but because it's a ball head, that's all. You'd never be able to do a multi-row pano with being able to drop this down, because the ball mechanism gives you too many variables. There's no way that I have found to be able to set this where it's just going to go up and down and stay on the one axis to be able to shoot a multi-row pano. But that's the nature of a ball head. I used to use the ball head from Really Right Stuff. They have a ball head that actually has a panning clamp built into the top of the ball head, which was just fantastic because I didn't have to worry about taking an extra adapter. I was able to get everything level on the top, which is where you want it. You want it to be level up here, not down here. And then I was able to pan on the top and get a perfect single row pano. Just came out great. Once again, the difficulty was that with a ball head, you're not able to dip it down or dip it up to get those extra rows for doing a multi-row pano, which sometimes you just don't know until you get out there, and it's like, yeah, you know what, I think I need to do it. And I'll show the pano below that I did 3 rows on, 3 rows of 17 images each. That was done with a 50mm lens on a full frame camera. Now many of us have grown up thinking, well, if I'm going to do a pano, I need to use a wide angle lens or something wide, maybe a 35 or 24, and need to do it vertically, and you know, yada yada yada, all those sorts of things in there to do a pano. None of that is correct. Can you do it? Absolutely. Is it the right way? There is no right way. It just depends on what equipment you have and making it work. Just like in the image that I'm showing you now. 3 rows taken with a 50mm lens, and the good part about this is that it looks like a wide angle shot, and I'm sure we all know that most, maybe not all, but most wide angle lenses on the far edges of the lens are just not going to be as sharp as the center. It's physics, it's optics, it's all those different things. Are there lenses that are perfectly sharp to the edge on a wide angle lens? Maybe. I don't know how expensive they are. I can't afford it. So this image with a 50mm lens shooting a pano gave me the option here to use the center of the lens, the sharpest part of the lens, on each part of the image. So when I stacked it all together, it was basically the center part of a 50mm lens all the way across. It looks like a wide angle image, but it is tack sharp on the edges, as sharp as it is in the center. And it's a really, really great technique to use. So you can see on this particular image, there were people walking, there are water fountains, birds flying around, something that causes all sorts of havoc when trying to stitch together a multi-row pano or even a single row pano in trying to get all those things to line up. So once again, techniques and software, we'll get all into that at another time. It's not for the here and now, but needless to say, with some really good solid techniques, you can get some great results with whatever equipment you're using.